Hello everyone, and welcome to this Let's Play of Kaiserreich, Legacy of the Weltkrieg, and today I will be playing as the Kingdom of Flanders-Wallonia, which at the start of the game, on the 1st of January 1936, is a puppet state of the German Empire, under King Adelbert, one of the sons of Kaiser Wilhelm II. Set up my research, but first let's take a look at my cabinet. The Prime Minister is Paul van Zeeland. The Foreign Minister is Charles Despermont-Linden. The Economy Minister is Alexandra Galopin. And the Minister of the Interior is Emile Pierres. And the head of government is a social conservative. The Foreign Minister is an authoritarian Democrat, the Economy Minister is a market liberal, and the Minister of the Interior is a paternal autocrat. And currently, Flanders-Wallonia is under an authoritarian democratic government. And we have 4 national spirits. King Adelbert I in exile, war support minus 30.00%, linguistic debacle, daily political power gain minus 0.15, stability minus 5.00%, war support minus 10.00%, planning speed minus 20.0%, max planning minus 10.0%, Dutch control over Westerschelde, anti-German sentiment, recruitable population 0.70%, division recovery rate minus 10.0%. I'm in my room. Okay. Let me set up my research. Let me build some military factories. And I have a few regions. I have Flanders, Wallonia, and Maritime Flanders. So Wallonia is the French-speaking part of Belgium. And Flanders is the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. But in this world, after Belgium lost World War I, they became a puppet state of Germany and were renamed Flanders-Wallonia. And they lost this part right here, Wallonia and Luxembourg. They lost this region right here to Germany, and Germany annexed the neighboring country of Luxembourg. So, however, even though Belgium lost this part of Wallonia, they gained Maritime Flanders, this little part right here, from France. But they still became a German puppet state, and they're a part of the Reichspakt alliance. So let me choose a national focus. Follow the Galopin Doctrine, which consists of producing consumer goods and fill demands of the civilian population whilst refusing to help occupier with the production of war material. To avoid the destruction of our industrial power as happened in the Weltkrieg, we will not deliberately hinder the civilian production issued by the German government, which will give me a new national spirit, which grants civilian factory construction speed plus 10.00%. Let me look at my... Okay, that's fine. Okay, it's the... I need a new ship. That's better. Let's do this. Status report. Location of Flanders-Wallonia. Okay, status report. Location of Flanders-Wallonia. Located on the western border of the German Empire and bordering the Commune of France, Flanders-Wallonia has a very strategic but vulnerable position. As the vanguard of the West against the syndicalist menace, we are supposed to stop their advance on the bunkers of the Ludendorff Linie and push together with our German allies into the French heartland. To the east, the German behemoth watches us closely and will prove to be a difficult enemy should the need arise. North of us lies the Netherlands, neutral in the Weltkrieg. Our former masters don't seem much of a threat with their ill-equipped army and friendly relations. Okay. Status report. Economy of Flanders-Wallonia. Occupation and major battles during the First Weltkrieg have clearly marked our country, and hefty reparations and general dismantlement of our industrial base imposed on us left us weak. What was once the 8th greatest industrial power in the world has been greatly humbled. Still, our people are sturdy and manage to rebuild our industrial might to a level approaching its former extent. However, much of our country is hopelessly reliant on German investment. There remains a great deal of work to be done. In order to reinvigorate the economy, the Adelbert Canal was dug post-war, connecting the important harbor of Antwerp with the steel industries of Liège. Coal mining has been expanded into the province of Limburg, further stimulating the steel industry, while the Flemish provinces have steadily developed their industrial power to partially replace the old reliance on the agricultural countryside. Okay. Status report, political situation in Flanders-Wallonia. Even though our country is a constitutional monarchy on paper, parliamentary control over the government is severely hampered. Moreover, political parties can only have a legal status and participate in elections if they accept the post-Weltkrieg status quo, such as the Hohenzollern monarchy, membership in the Reichspakt, and other national indignities. This limitation makes legal opposition parties stunted and ineffective. The government is advised by the Flemish Council, which consists mainly of members of the higher class, most of them whom support the king and execute his decisions with limited practical power of veto. There are two major opposition groups that seek to contest the current status quo, and as a result have been forced underground. First, we have the Royalist Catholic Party, who seeks to restore Belgium and its rightful king, Adelbert I, currently in exile in Canada. The other large group is the Syndicalist Party, which seeks to improve working conditions and create a socialist regime like that which exists in the Commune of France. Both of these groups have stronger ties to the Wallonia region, with occasional frictions. The Catholic Party is also, however, widely accepted in the agrarian region of Flanders, which still strongly holds on to the Catholic faith. We must brace ourselves for the trials to come. Okay. Now let me set up my army. Okay, let me read this. Hang on. Voting rights in the Legation Council. The Legation cities were formed in 1928 as a result of the Americans intervening in the Juilly-Franquin conflict that they believed was going to spill out into open war between the Japanese and their Franquin puppets and the Juilly and their German backers. When a passenger train was attacked by Chinese warlords, America saw the opportunity to mediate, not only in order to create a more permanent solution to the instability in the East, but also enshrine the open door policy in China, which allows all powers equal access to Chinese markets. Consisting of all official concessions in China, as well as a 30-mile neutral zone, the legation cities, officially known as the International Mandate for the Chinese Concessions, also host a forum, the Legation Council, for the various powers with Chinese interests to cooperate in Far Eastern policy. As a power with extensive concessions in Tianjin and parts of inland China, Flanders-Wallonia does have a voting position on this council. Though we mostly provide support for German proposals in the council, we have been known to adopt American positions whenever they seem more reasonable or beneficial to our citizens. How exciting, political power plus 25. Gains national spirit, fruits of the open door, which grants consumer goods factories minus 2%. And there's that national spirit. While we may not have the competitive advantages of America, free trade with China provided by the legation cities does provide our citizens with some extra products. I'll read the other national focuses in a bit. Let me just set up my armies. And my only field marshal is Adelbert the King. going to go with Jean-Baptiste Piron for Army 1. For Army 2, I'll go with Maurice Keyerts. For Army 3, I'll go for Edward Vandenbergen. Army 4 will be Victor van Strijdonk de Bruckel. And Army 5 will be Georges de Fontaine. Okay, so let me save here. Strikes at the Zolder mines. Miners and workers in the nearby industrial zone have laid down their equipment to protest against the inhumane conditions that they are regularly being exposed to. To fill the quotas imposed by the regional industrial head, many of the workers have been forced to work 7 days a week, some for over 12 hours a day, or risk losing their jobs. The cooperative of Zolder has decided to take action and has prepared a large strike to fight against their conditions, and has sworn to uphold the strike until their terms are met. Okay, so let me just save here, as I said before. I could send in the Vlaamsewacht. I could send in the Vlaamsewacht. Political power minus 50, gain strike, which grants factory output minus 35%, 35.00% for 3 days, or make some empty promises about helping the cooperative. Gain strike, which grants factory output minus 35.00% for 14 days. I'll just make some empty promises. So, my main goal playing this game is to get Flanders-Wallonia to become independent from German control and to no longer be a German puppet state and to restore the Kingdom of Belgium. But I'll have to wait a little bit. In the meantime, I'm still a part of the Reichspakt. Let me recruit some soldiers. I'm going to go for Infantry Divisie and Armored Divisie, and some motorized divisions as well. Okay, that's all I can do. And I'm going to go build... Yeah, I already built some military factories. I'll just wait for those to finish. Anniversary of the Antwerp killings. On the 22nd of January 1935, the country was devastated by the killing of Adelbert Pot and Theophile Griet, two prominent members of the Antwerp Union, by affiliates of a German shipping company. This resulted in a nationwide strike organized by the BWP, the local cooperatives, and the unions to force the government into signing a law ensuring better working conditions and the introduction of the 40-hour work week. The government, however, decided to fight back against the strike with force, leading to 6 casualties in the Ghent harbor, and the imprisonment of over 300 union members in the following weeks. Ultimately, the strike was lifted as organizing members were locked up or threatened into submission. Today, the cooperative of Ghent has requested that the mayor of the city allow them to organize a small ceremony in St. Bav's Cathedral commemorating the sacrifices of their members. It's better to forget such a black stain in our reign. Send a representative to express our condolences. I'll express the condolences even if I do lose 20 political power. Okay, let's read the national spirits. King Albert I in exile. After the Weltkrieg ended in a crushing defeat for a small nation, King Albert I was forced into exile, and has followed the British royal family to Canada. Adored by all the citizens for his bravery during the Weltkrieg, earning him the nickname Soldier King, large royalist underground movements plot his return to the throne and an end to German occupation. Linguistic debacle. While the majority of the population lives in Dutch-speaking Flanders, French-speaking Wallonia held the upper hand during most of the 19th century until the Weltkrieg. While the situation was abruptly reversed by the German occupier due to their Vlammenpolitik, this has only increased tensions between the two groups, causing a divide that has proven hard to heal. The army in particular is heavily affected by this, with Walloon soldiers not understanding their Flemish superiors for refusing to do so. Dutch control over Westerschelde. After the Belgian Revolution failed in securing the state of Zeeuws-Vlaanderen, we have had no choice but to negotiate with the Dutch for expansion of the harbor of Antwerp. If tensions were to escalate between our two nations, our main trade hub would be severely hurt. Anti-German sentiment. Where's the description of it? Okay. High tax rates, favoritism towards Germans, and a general lack of interest by German administrators and individuals in Flemish Walloon living conditions have only worsened the aversion for the German regime, causing large social inequality and unrest, especially in Wallonia. African investments. While we lost our African holdings in the Weltkrieg, we still operate a large informal economic empire in Germany's African territories. Profits from the mining, rubber, and ivory trade strengthen the economy of our small yet great country. Profitable. Gain-based stability plus 2.00%, gains natural spirit African investments, which grants consumer goods factories 5%. And there it is. Black Monday hits Flanders-Wallonia. On the 2nd of February, the German stock market crashed, resulting in an economic crisis like never before. Flanders-Wallonia, already weakened by the reparations and reconstruction of its country, has been hit very hard. Hundreds left the Brussels Stock Exchange crying and screaming. Drastic action will be required to save the struggling people of Flanders-Wallonia. What will we do? Gain-based stability minus 10.00%, and I gain the national spirit Black Monday, which grants construction speed minus 30.00%. Same for factory output and production efficiency cap minus 15.00%. Run on the banks. With stocks plummeting on the Brussels Stock Exchange, thousands of citizens are flocking to the banks, trying to withdraw as much cash as possible. The Société Générale in Brussels is panicking as they see their cash reserves quickly dwindle, urging the king to take action before riots erupt on the streets. While paying out to our citizens would guarantee stability in the short term, it would also come at a tremendous cost to the Germans. Okay, I'll let the fools withdraw their cash. Game-based stability minus 4.00%, political power minus 150. Midden Kredietkasse declares bankruptcy. Okay. Midden Kredietkasse declares bankruptcy. Bad investments, plummeting stocks, and their support of friendly banks all conspired to quickly bring the Midden Kredietkasse down in a brutal liquidity collapse. As the financial branch of the Boerenbond, the farmer representative body that boomed in influence after the Weltkrieg due to German reliance on Middle Europa crops, thousands of farmers who had invested their capital into the organization now stand with empty pockets. Thousands have left virtually penniless in a period of ever-increasing instability and financial insecurity. Members of the parliament have proposed the creation of a CKL, or Centrale Kasse voor Landbouwkrediet, to support the troubled farmers by promising to provide generous subsidies to the agricultural sector upon economic recovery. While this would be a tremendous burden for the AVV and ABB, it would greatly help the image of Adelbert and the pro-German regime. Okay. I kind of want to make things as bad for the pro-German regime as possible, but I'll still create the CKL. Disaster of 17th February 1936. The 17th of February, which marks the day that Adelbert I was crowned as King of Belgium, and took control of the country has been annually marked with celebrations in the capital. Military parades and fanfares announced the start of the celebrations. At 12 o'clock, Adelbert mounted the balcony of the palace, watching over the veranda. As he addressed the population and celebrated another peaceful year, a loud bang resounded against the stone walls of the palace. In the midst of the crowd, a group of rebels had fired a gun in the direction of the king. They shouted, "Vive la Révolution!" and "Weg met de Moth." Dozens of men and women placed at tactical locations in the crowd. By the combined resistance started rallying the people and prepared to storm the palace. Police quickly mobilized and formed a protective circle around the palace gates. And though the crowd dispersed into the surrounding streets, revolt quickly became too large for the local police force to handle. Send in the army, we should wait for them to calm down. Okay, this is the turning point. So let me save. We should wait for them to calm down. Gain base stability minus 10.00%. Gains Belgian revolution, which grants daily political power gain minus 0.75. Factory output minus 35.00% for 30 days. And there's that new focus. The riots continue. Trapped in the palace but safe from the rioters outside, the king decided not to resort to the use of heavy weaponry. The king decided not to resort to the use of heavy weaponry, and has instead sought to deal with the protesters solely by using local police battalions. However, the riot has proven not to be so easily suppressed and has started to spread throughout the entire city. Student organizations in the cities of Leuven, Ghent, and even Brussels itself have been preparing their own protest march and quickly organized themselves. Chanting the Brabançon and the Vlaamse, waving banners and protesting through the streets, the protests have quickly become nearly insurmountable for the police. It's only becoming worse. And now I gain that same national spirit for a year. And I think I lose more stability, like minus 15.00% stability. RN Verk op bin... Okay. Let me say that again. On in Verkoop Ven Utschap requests state intervention. Despite the creation of the CKL to pay back the farmers and the other financial branch of the... Okay, one at a time. The other financial branch of the Boerenbond is suffering greatly. The ABV, or Buy and Sell Society, responsible for supporting farmers and buying farming equipment and supplies in bulk, was forced to close the doors of its stores after thousands of farmers swarmed them to secure their unsure future. I guess I could grant them a government loan, but that'll cost me political power. Yeah, I'll just grant them a government loan. At least I gain a little bit more stability. Walloons in Charleroi and Mons rise up. Massive strikes and protests are also plaguing Wallonia, where the large industrial cities of Charleroi and Mons have started organizing themselves into a full-scale rebellion. Supported by the syndicalist resistance and raids of the police headquarters in Mons, the revolters have reorganized themselves outside of the city, biding their time. Will this never end? Gain base stability minus 10.00%. Change of popularity of syndicalism 5.00%. Société Générale de la Belgique splits up. The largest corporation of Flanders-Wallonia was created by the Dutch in 1815. The Société Générale has been dividing power between much of the rapid industrialization and colonial expansion of the 19th century. After the loss of the Congo and the start of the German occupation, its power fell precipitously, but even today they are still the most important economic institution in our nation, dominating nearly 40% of the industrial sector. Whether the storm caused by Black Monday, several members of the Liberal Party are suggesting that we hive off the unprofitable branches and salvage what we can. The General Bank would be sold off as a separate subsidy of the main organization, and would handle the bank's affairs independent of interference by the SGB. Okay. I'm going to go block the proposed split. Game-based stability minus 3.00% and plus 50 political power. Sounds good to me. assembled the Industrial Committee. A special commission consisting of representatives from all the large industries and members of government will be created and will convene to find a solution for a predicament. 2x 100% research bonus for industry. Mass desertion. As the rebellion grows by the day, many soldiers of the former Belgian army have deserted and joined forces with the rebellion. Well armed, they pose a significant threat to our ability to suppress the revolt. Ask for German reinforcements. Gains national spirit mass desertion, which grants recruitable population factor minus 30%, political power minus 100. Creation of the Banking Committee. In an effort to stop the catastrophic impact that Black Monday is having on the Flemish-Walloon banks, the government has proposed the creation of a banking commission to oversee the crisis recovery and to stop the economy from imploding. While this is guaranteed to be opposed by German bank managers who see this as an effort by the Flemish-Walloon government to diminish their influence, desperate times called for desperate measures. The king blocks the proposal. The proposal passes unanimously. Okay, I'm gonna pass the proposal. Plus 2.00% stability. That's what I gain. Pius the 13th, Pius the 12th elected as new pope. Interesting. Foundation of the Guzen Group. Due to rising tensions in the industrial city of Antwerp, a new resistance movement has been detected by our intelligence services. They are called the Guzen Group and seem to have gathered a lot of support around the harbor area, rallying the populace behind their cause. They seem to work mostly underground, though, and as much there seems to be no more intel about either their members or their leader. Keep a close eye on them. support of independence grows. As the different factions keep growing, there will soon be a choice that might decide the future of our country. For the moment, there is little contact between the Walloon rebels and the Flemish. It might be in our best interest to keep the situation separated until we can crack down on the rebellion. Keep them separated and we will prevail. We can't spare the resources at the moment. I'll do that. The loss of the 20th train convoy. After the capture of a large terrorist cell trying to reach the von Bissing Kaserne in Mechelen, the commander has decided to transport the prisoners to a safer location closer to the main bulk of the army. 276 prisoners were on the train convoy, called the 20th Train Convoy. Accompanied by a convoy of 15 soldiers and their officer, they left for Leuven. However, between Bortmeerbeek and Hocht, the train was stopped by 3 young men who, under fire from German forces, opened the prison train and allowed 168 of the prisoners to escape before the Germans regained control of the train. Strengthen the protection of our convoys, minus 20 political power. May Day. On the 1st of May, the Syndicalists celebrate the fight for the 8-hour workday as described by the Second Internationale in 1889. Despite the rebellion raging on throughout Belgium, many Syndicalists see this day as sacred, and guerrilla strikes will be less fierce today. This could be our opportunity to organize a counterattack. Okay, perform coordinated strikes against key figures, or install a curfew in Liège, Namur, and Charleroi. I'll do the latter. It'll gain game-based stability plus 5.00%, change of popularity of syndicalism 5.00%, political power minus 150. I'll research basic engineering tools. Fund the Solvay Institute. Since the early 20th century, the Solvay Institute has stood at the forefront of technological innovation. By giving grants to promising Belgian scientists and funding foreign projects, we have been able to receive interest from scientists like Marie Curie, Albert Einstein, and many more. I'll do that. And that will give me Gains National Spirit, Solvay Institute, which grants industrial research speed plus 10%, electronics research speed plus 10%. Status of the Flemish resistance. While we were trying to counter the Walloon syndicalists and had to withdraw some of our forces out of Flanders, the Flemish decided to work more underground and have been recruiting members into their movement. Priests have tried to convince their parochians to take up arms and liberate the nation, while rebels in the cities have diffused illegal newspapers and propaganda to enlist as many as possible. The recruited rebels, guided by experienced veterans from both the army and veterans of the Weltkrieg, also performed small coordinated raids against German transports and have been able to acquire quite the armory. It's not yet clear what they are up to, but it would be wise to reinforce their control over Flanders, risking loss of control elsewhere. I'll fall back into Antwerp, Limburg, and Flemish Brabant, which gains national spirit Flanders lost, which grants consumer goods factories 20%, factory output minus 30.00%, political power plus 50. Or I could fall back into Flemish Brabant. Gains national spirit Flanders lost, but I gain more political power. I'll save here. Finish the Antwerp-Liège axis. Connected by the Adelbert Canal, we need to expand the highways leading between the two cities, further expanding our transportation capabilities. Wallonia adds to infrastructure. Okay, I have a bunch of new national spirits. Pretty cool. Okay, Legation Council votes on providing aid to Sichuan province. The southern Chinese province of Sichuan is currently experiencing a terrible famine and is struggling to save its people. They have requested that the Legation Council authorize the legation cities to help them open up new sources of grain until the land can recover. Many experts on Chinese politics, however, warn that the money we sent for famine relief could just go directly into Sichuanese warlords' pockets. We shall vote fairly. Group G. While our forces were engaged in Wallonia, a devastating terrorist attack was launched on the electrical train network by the infamous Group G. They are a resistance movement composed almost entirely of students from the ULB, Free University of Brussels, or in French that would be Université Libre de Bruxelles. Encouraged by the protest at the universities of Ghent and Leuven, a group of engineering students from the ULB prepared a nationwide attack on the railroad system. This was the first time an attack occurred in both Flanders and Wallonia by the same group. We'll have to stay wary of further cooperation between the two regions. Track down these students. The vote passes. The most recent vote in the Legation Council has passed by a comfortable majority. It will now be implemented. Interesting. Armée secrète. Armée secrète. Geheimlager. Reports have reached us that the deserting forces are gathering in the villages around Poperinge. They seem to rally as close as possible to the French border, making large-scale troop movements by us difficult. Charlie Classer, leader of this movement, has started to expand the group very fast, exceeding our expectations. They are, however, in contrast to the other groups, a secret army with a chain of command and armed to the teeth. It will not be easy to crack them down, and we will have to keep a close eye on them. Station a small brigade in the city of Lepper. Station a small brigade in the city of Yepper to keep them in check. Political power minus 20. 11th of July. In the 11th of July 1302 will always be remembered. The 11th of July 1302 will always be remembered as the great victory over the French army at the Guldensporenslag. On this day, the inferior Flemish army defeated the French knights. This victory marked an important point in the creation of the independent Flemish movement and has been immortalized in the Roman by De Leuve van Vlaanderen by Hendrik Conscience. With the temporary retreat of the German forces, the Flemish resistance memorizes this day and has proclaimed the 11th of July a national holiday. Vlaanderen de Leuve. Vlaanderen de Leeuw. Hope I pronounced that right. I do my best. Walloons hear of Flemish victories. After the victories of the Flemish resistance over the German forces, the Walloons have now the opportunity to decide whether or not to work together with the Flemish for a unified Belgium or to seek affiliation with the Commune of France. The syndicalists are inclined towards joining the Commune and helping spread the socialist revolution. On the other hand, the royalists would prefer to work together with the Flemish to unify the country and reinstate the king. After days of frenzied discussion, the doors of the headquarters finally open and the decision is announced. Well, I'll save here once again, because maybe in the future I'll do a Syndicalist Belgium playthrough. Or I might play through Syndicalist Belgium without making it a playthrough. But for now, I'm going to go with the Royalist decision. And the two decisions are we shall seek unification with the French Commune, and we shall approach our Flemish brethren and try to rebuild Belgium. I'll go with the latter. Flanders receives Walloon deal. After the proposal to the German government failed, the Flemish have now received a deal from the Walloon movement. They asked the Flemish to work together with them to ensure independence for all of Belgium and to reinstate the king. No, Flanders shall be independent. Eendracht macht Macht. L'union... Okay. Eendracht macht Macht. L'union fait la force. Unity is strength. I'll go with that. And let's look at this poster here. What's it say? Zuzulen hem nietemen dien vieren blamschen löw. Interesting. Okay, it looks like Poland has a Saxon king now. That's pretty cool. Attacks. After the Flemish and Walloons made their pact to unify Belgium, they launched an assault on the German administration offices in Mons and secured the governor and his family. They are now held hostage, and the rebels are demanding the withdrawal of German forces from Hainaut. We have surrounded the building and are ready to move in if necessary. The chances of extracting the governor successfully are slim, but we could resecure the building to reinforce it against further attacks and to tighten our grip on the province. Launch an assault on the building, or we will have to give in. I'll give in. Rebels push into Antwerp. With renewed forces and help from Wallonia, the Flemish resistance has successfully begun pushing into Antwerp. Fighting in the streets immediately ensued, and for 3 days there appeared to be no clear winner. The strategic situation changed when a tank depot fell to Flemish forces and the Germans retreated to the east side of the city. Simultaneously, a push was orchestrated towards Boom and Dendermonde, ensuring the liberation of most of Antwerp province. Fall back to Brussels. German forces pushed back into Brussels. After a defeat at Mons, and in return for the governor, we have fallen back into Brussels, where we have dug ourselves in. Any Walloon resistance will have to do with our fortified position and prepared troops. Watch out, those Walloons are everywhere. Open the Schelle power plant. Due to the recent expansions of the industrial power of Flanders, we need a power plant to meet demands. Plans for the largest power plant in Europe have been shown to the government, and they have decided to execute these to show the world the ingenuity and technological prowess of our small country. Gains national spirit. Schelle power plant, which grants construction speed plus 3.00%. The Walloons hold back. The Walloons have set up a perimeter around Brussels, but appear not to be planning to immediately attack. They may be trying to secure Flanders first before moving against our troops' positions in the city. We must be cautious. Flemish forces approach the capital. With their victories in Antwerp and the retreat of German forces out of Limburg, we are left only with Brussels and Wallonia. As the movement keeps winning, they gather more support, and by now they heavily outnumber us. The only forces we have left are the division located in Brussels and 2 in Wallonia. We'll have to make the important decision which will decide the fate of the country. Will we retreat to Germany, thus abandoning Belgium, or will we dig in and try to hold out as long as we can, hoping that Germany may recover quickly enough to support us? We will not risk any more German blood. German forces evacuate Belgium. On September 13, 1936, at 2:37 p.m., in the royal palace, the former King Adelbert signed the formal ceasefire treaty, resulting in his immediate abdication, the withdrawal of all German forces from his former territory, and a truce between the reborn nation of Belgium and the German Empire. Hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children have come out into the streets waving the Belgian flag, chanting the Brabançon, and celebrating the nation's regained independence. It is truly a great day for Belgium. Long leve Belgique. Vive la Belgique, long live Belgium. Okay. So now Flanders-Wallonia is under the control of the Belgian Parliament. But Paul van Zeeland is still Prime Minister. The Belgian flag. After a victory over the German occupiers, the provincial government has decided to reinstate the Belgian flag to bolster morale and to show the world that Belgium is free once more. Hoisted atop the royal palace, the flag waves proudly in the wind. Black, yellow, and red once more. And I gain 300 political power, changes of national focus tree to independent Belgium. Adelbert stops being a field marshal. Flanders-Wallonia will be known as Belgium Yes, and German Empire gets to vent the Belgian Revolution. Alright. Victory is ours. Belgian Declaration of Independence. Sick of German oppression and the disaster of Black Monday, Belgian independence movements throughout the country have been revolting and performing guerrilla strikes on the German army. Okay, can I just... Let me just look at the focus tree. I'll just continue with this. Belgian independence movements throughout the country have been revolting and performing guerrilla strikes on the German army. Due to their own recovery, the German Empire had been unable to support Adelbert I to the fullest and has let the situation escalate beyond their control. After coordinated strikes by the Independence Army on the cities of Mons and Antwerp, they were finally able to push the Flanders-Wallonian army back to Brussels, where after fierce fighting the German king surrendered. With no clear answer yet from the German Empire, many feared that an independent Belgium might be short-lived, especially with tensions between the Empire and the Commune of France rising, and the strategic location of the country. Good luck, Belgium. The Legation Council confiscates our concessions. Since we escaped from the German sphere of influence, the Germans have been diplomatically isolating us in every way possible. We have had high tariffs exporting to all countries in Middle Europa, and we have been forced out of the Reichspakt. And Antwerp has been almost severed from our grasp. As the latest item in the long list of insults, it seems the Germans have successfully petitioned to have us removed from the Legation Council in Shanghai. While our Chinese concessions were never truly a priority, this offense still rankles. On a more positive note, we are no longer responsible for many of the French nationals in the cities that we previously extended citizenship to. I never cared much about Tom Jin. Treaty of Orel. Deep in the Ardennes, in the city of Orel, German and Belgian representatives have gathered to discuss the future relations between the two countries. Multiple proposals have been put on the table by both sides until finally an agreement was reached. Belgium would stay in the Reichspakt and help the German Empire in its wars in exchange for full recognition of its sovereignty. While the German delegation can be persuaded to recognize their independence, all requests for the return of Belgian Luxembourg have thus far been swept off the table. The treaty is fine as it is. Sign it. Belgium will only accept in exchange for Luxembourg. Okay, we save here. I'll go with the latter option. Germany might declare war on me, though, so I gotta be careful. But in the meantime, I'll promote Jean-Baptiste Piron to Field Marshal. Oh, did it work? Okay, where is he? That's not what I wanted to do, but... I'll worry about that later. Okay, I can't promote him right now. Okay, never mind then. Orel treaty talks fail. The German Empire has refused a proposal and decided to leave the summit. There will be no alliance this time and no concessions. We will seek other allies. The Congress of Orel. With the recent independence of Belgium from their former German masters, the inevitable question that arose from this was simple. What next? The two nations sent representatives to the tiny Ardennes city of Orel in German Luxembourg, near the border with southern Wallonia, and there the future path of Belgium in Europe was decided. Though the Germans proposed formally recognizing Belgian independence if Brussels were to return to the Reichspakt, Belgium was not convinced. Whether or not the negotiators demanded that the Reich also hand over Belgian Luxembourg was intended as a slight, negotiations at Orel quickly broke down and the Germans withdrew. For now, at least, Belgium is on its own. Belgium returns to the world stage. Choose an admiral. I didn't get around to that. We'll only have one. Georges Timmermans. So I'll go with him.